Now, this is where our graphing gets just a little bit crazy, a little bit messier. So you have to be really careful with your fractions, and remember that this would all be non-calculator. Okay, let's take a look at this first one. The negative and the 4 in front, same deal. It's going over the x-axis, and the amplitude is going to change to 4. Okay, that's not the hard part. Okay, this x minus 4 now. Remember, if it's in the parentheses, it's going to go left or right with the x's. So this one should go right 1/4 of a pi. So what that means is I'm going to get my sine graph set, and then I have to shift all my x-axis points 1/4 pi to the right. Now, some of the numbers are going to be kind of funny, some of them not so bad. So let's start with this one. It's not terrible. Okay, so period for this one is 2 pi, right? The coefficient of x is just a 1, so the period doesn't change. All right, so I'm going to start, and I'm just going to go ahead and put 2 pi right on my x-axis. And I'm going to try to be as neat as I can on this one. In fact, let me just go a little bit bigger here. Okay, all right. Okay, so pi over 2 in the middle here, 3 pi over 2. Okay, so here's my starting spot. My amplitude is 4, so that means I'm going to be up here at 4, down here at negative 4. It's upside down because of the negative, so let's start, excuse me, let's start like this. So this blue thing that I've just drawn in is everything except the right-hand movement. So this is negative 4 sine x. Now, think about this. I have to take all of these points that are in halves, and I have to move everything right 1/4 pi. So it's not terrible on this one, so everything's going to move right 1/4 pi. Okay, so I'm going to start putting little spots in between each of these with one more at the end. Okay, so this purple one, the first one, 1/4 pi, 3/4, 5/4, 7/4, and 9/4. Okay, try to be neat on these. I know it can get really messy, but if you have to draw a big graph, draw a big graph. Okay, now every blue point is going to shift right 1/4 pi now. So all of my blue points are becoming these purple points. All right, so this purple would be my final answer. Okay, so the zeros of the purple one are pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, and 9 pi over 4. Here's another one. I'm going to go ahead and do this one for you, and I'm going to have you try number 3. Okay, so if there's a coefficient in front of the x, like the 1/2 in this case, you have to factor it out. Now careful, we're not going to factor it way in front. We're just going to factor in front of the parentheses. So here's what it's going to look like. If I take my 1/2 out, oops, 2. If I take my 1/2 out, it's going to stay right here. And then I have to figure out what goes in the parentheses. So just practice your fractions. This one should be x plus pi over 4. And if you have a question on that, make sure you ask. But you take the half out. Now that 1/2 is going to affect the period. So the period is the old period 2 pi divided by the coefficient of x half. So the new period is 4 pi. Okay? And because of this x plus pi over 4, I'm going to have to go left 1/4 of a pi. Okay, so I'm going to make this graph kind of big, only because it goes way out to 4 pi. So I'm going to move this just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to put my 4 pi way out here. Okay, because when I cut that a half, I get 2 pi. Half again is 1 pi, and then 3 pi. Okay, all right, now cosine, so amplitude 2. Cosine is your U shape, remember, so it's going to start up here, travel down, then back up again. All right, so here's cosine. All right, now, all of those points need to move left 1/4, so kind of make it, it doesn't have to be perfect, but make sure 1/4 doesn't look as big as a whole pi. So there's a 4 pi, this would be 3/4 pi, this would be 7/4 pi, 11/4 pi, and 15/4 pi. Okay, and all of those green points, yes, I need those on a quiz. You can't just kind of shift one point and then go from there. So all the blue points are now going to become these green points when I move them left. All right. Okay, so the zeros now become 3 pi over 4 and 11 pi over 4. Okay, these are kind of tough, but I do want you to try the next one. And now that I'm looking at the next one, let's do something here real quick. Let's take out the 1 at the beginning. Do me a favor, just take out the 1. Don't worry about moving it up 1. Just worry about the negative, the 0.5, and then make sure you take the 2 out before you start graphing it. So let's try a tan graph, same idea. So on number 5, we're going to make sure we take the 2 out first. So tan, take the 2 out, x minus pi. So this one means I'm going to be moving right a whole pi. Okay, and then this 2, remember, affects the period. Okay, now, a little bit of memorization for this one. The period of tan is not 2 pi like sine and cosine. It's only 1 pi. And when I divide it by the coefficient of x, which is 2, I get my new period as a half pi. All right, tan is the hardest graph because it has a y-axis right down the middle. So if I need a period of a half pi, that means I need a quarter pi left and right. So when I start this graph, right, so this distance is a half pi now. There's my period. And tan has asymptotes on either end. And then it has a 0 in the middle. Now I do need these in-between points. So I need these 8ths of pi's on any quiz or any test. Okay, all right, tan has 0 in the middle. This one just has a 1 in front of it. And tan goes low to high. So here's tan before I shift it right a whole pi. Now, if I take this quarter pi and move it right a whole pi, you do have to do a little bit of work here because I'm going to be way off my graph. So if you want to do a little break in your graph, no big deal. But if I take each of these points and move it right pi, well, it would start at 3/4 pi with an asymptote. Okay, and then the ending asymptote would be 5/4 pi. Okay, all right, and then in the middle I would have pi. Okay, and then you have to be in 8ths here, so it's a little bit tough. This is going to be 7/8. Getting a little messy here. And this is going to be, oh boy, I'm going to write it on top, 9/8. Okay, so again, it's a little messy on this one, but I do need those points on any quiz or any test. So make sure that 7/8 pi and that 9/8 pi shows up somewhere. Okay, asymptotes at x equals 3/4 pi and 5/4 pi. All right, and then the 0 for this one is at pi. All right, number 6 is pretty tough. I'm going to save that to do with you guys in class. So go ahead, leave that one blank, no big deal. We'll do that one in class tomorrow. All right, now 7 and 8, these are tough like number 6. But what I want you to practice is, I want you to go ahead and try the factoring step. And if you're brave, you want to go ahead and try them both, no biggie. But please do try the factoring. So in number 7, see what happens when you take out that 2 in front of the x. And on number 8, see what happens when you take out a pi over 6 in front of the x. So please do that step, and then we'll graph them together in class.